Alright, so this is our Laguna LaserEX printer. And you can see it's turned on right now. If you come over to the side here, you'll see where the TP-Link adapter is. And you see it's right here. And I originally didn't know how this worked. So I later on realized that you can actually take that off. So I'm gonna turn the machine off real quick just so I can show you how to do that. So this wire connects to it goes down through here, down here, and up to here, and connects to the Ethernet port on the machine itself. In this particular case, I'm going to take it off, so I'm gonna disconnect the cable. Disconnect the cable. I need to actually pull the machine off and notice that there's a plug there. Now, the reason I want to take it off is because there's some things here that I want to show you. Now you can fold this plug in. But you can see there's some information on here, basically like the model number, the default IP address, as well as the login name and password, and the actual name of the device. You can see here. Now, when you get the machine, you hook up, you can actually see this Wi-Fi device, and you have to manually connect your Wi-Fi to it. Unfortunately, that means that you will lose internet connection because this thing in itself does not have any internet connection. So what we wanted to do was make sure that this joined the local office's Wi-Fi so that we wouldn't have to constantly switch back and forth between this, the machine's Wi-Fi and the office Wi-Fi. And obviously that will require some reconfiguring, and that's what we're going to show you in this video. So get ready to be able to use this on a single Wi-Fi unit and still be able to connect to the internet. So to get started, let's talk about some of the things that we will need in order to complete this procedure. So first, here's a list of the things that you'll need. First, you'll need an existing Wi-Fi router. I'm going to presume that you are in the office and the Wi-Fi does exist. Now, to point out that this particular Wi-Fi is a cheap unit and it only supports the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. So if you have a router that supports 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, this one will only support the 2.4, so you do need to enable it if you have it disabled. Additionally, the 2.4 gigahertz frequency, it needs to be on a specific channel. This may not be the case, but in the setup for the TP-Link, you had to specify a specific channel. So I went ahead and configured my particular Wi-Fi to use a specific channel so that I can connect the two together. Another thing that you will need is the BSSID. Now this is also something that you can find on the router itself, and I will demonstrate my particular router. Now note that your router may be a little bit different, so before you get started, you probably want to log into your router and take a look at these things and see if you're able to find these different things I am going to mention here in this video. And of course, you will need the IP address of your router. Now, typically, this is something that's very generic. In most cases, the routers that I've worked with have typically been like something like 192.168.1.1. But again, it varies from router to router, so you will have to check that out on your own environment. And of course, we need a specific IP address to configure for not only your for basically the laser cutter itself. You want this IP address to be outside of your DHCP range, which is a range where your router assigns specific IP address. And the reason why you want it outside of this IP address or outside of this range is because you don't want a conflict to exist for any reason. So I particularly made mine outside of the range of the DHCP range. And because the router, or rather the TP-Link interface, is a Chinese component, when you log into the router itself, everything's in simplified Chinese. So In my particular case, I can't read it, so I had to use my Google Translate on my phone to try to read everything that was outputted onto the screen. With that said, this is basically everything that you need to get started. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at what I did to join the LaserEX unit to my Wi-Fi. So here I am logging into my router. As I mentioned, we do need to look at the 2.4 frequency, gigahertz frequency of your router. I'm coming into here, making sure that it's set to a specific channel and not set to auto. Once I make that change, I'll save it. It takes a while for the router to apply the changes, but once it's applied, the next thing that you will want to do is confirm the BSSID of that 2.4 gigahertz frequency. So I've gone back to the main menu, and I'm going to dive back into the details of this. And you can see that my particular router does show the BSSID. So I'm going to copy that, and then I am going to log into my router. Okay, now that we have the router configured, what we need to do now at this point is connect from our Wi-Fi, the office Wi-Fi, to the TP-Link, again, the unit that came with the LaserEX. And you can see it listed here. One of the things that you have to note is that when you connect to the TP-Link, it does not provide you with an IP address. So if you're using Windows, this is going to be a little bit different, but if you're using OS X like I am, what you need to do is go into your properties of that Wi-Fi, the details of it, and assign yourself a IP address manually, like I am doing here. And in this particular case, I'm going to use one that's based off the IP address that the TP-Link uses. So I'm using 192.168. 253 is the one that the TP-Link user, so I'm going to use one on that range. So I'm going to set myself to 1 or 10, sorry. And for the subnet mask, I'm just going to use 255.255.255.0, and the router I am going to put the TP-Link IP address. And once I do that, I'm actually connected. Then I open the browser and I log into the TP-Link itself. The password is admin, or username is admin, password is admin. You can see it on the back of the device like I mentioned earlier. And once you are logged in, this is what you'll see. And as you see, it's all in simplified Chinese. Alright, so at this point, you really want to go to that 5th menu item on the left, and the first sub menu right underneath it, and this is where you want to be able to change your or add your bridge information. Now when I originally did this, I did this with the 5 gigahertz unit, and so I messed up a bit, and so you may see this video get sliced up a bit, but let me go ahead and cut to the chase and show you when I actually got the correct settings. Okay, so you can see that this page is already filled out. I previously set for the 5 gigahertz frequency, which is incorrect, so I need to modify it for the 2.4 gigahertz frequency. So I'm updating the name of the SSID as well as the password to it. Now the next thing I also need to change is the channel, and that's what that second option is. Set it to channel 8, and that's because I do have my 2.4 frequency set to channel 8, as you can see here. Now the next thing we need is the BSSID, and we copied this previously, so let me show you where it looks like. Okay, so going back to the router interface, this is what the BSSID looks like. So I need to copy that, paste it in. It's going to be in that field towards the middle, and you can see that it uses dashes instead of colons. So once I paste that information in, I have to change the colon to dashes. Now your router might already use the dash, but again, keep that in mind when you're saving it. So you click that bottom left hand button to save the settings. You get a little message stating that if I translate it correctly, that it needs to be restarted. So click here to restart it. So I'm gonna click on that blue link, and then you get another message. I'm guessing it says the same thing, that you're about to restart. Are you sure you want to do it? Click this button to do so. So I click it, and then I click OK, and then go ahead and restart, and you can see that it takes some time. So I'm gonna skip a little bit forward so you don't have to wait. So now it's restarted. I refreshed the page, and you can see that I'm still connected to the TP-Link interface. The interesting thing is that I am actually no longer connected directly to the TP-Link. I am actually connected to my office Wi-Fi, and yet you can see here I'm navigating around and it's connected. So that tells me the router is joined to my work Wi-Fi. So things are great at this point. Now we're going to move on to configuring the LaserEX to have a specific IP address. So for those of you that aren't familiar, this is the control unit. You can see I'm already here, so let me escape back to the main menu. To get to that configuration, you have to be at the main menu and then click the ZU button. The ZU button brings up those options, and you basically use the arrows to move around. What we want to go do is go to IP config and then press enter. So this shows you the IP address that's currently set at. It's mostly configured the way I want it already. But to move you from one section to the next section, you push that ZU button. And in this particular case, you want to set the IP address to be one that is not used by anything. And in my case, my IP range, DHCP ranges from 100 to 250 something. So I know that 2 is not being used, so I went ahead and set it to 2. Now the gateway you want to set to the IP of your router, and my router's IP is 192.168.1.1. So I'm going to remove that first one. So I'll change it here, 1.1. And once I'm happy with my settings, you push enter and you're set. And at this point, let's go test out to make sure that it's working. Okay, so here we're going to test to make sure. And so the software I'm going to use to test this is the Lightburn software. I am going to go download a trial, and I am using Mac OS, so I need to download the Mac OS version. And of course, I'm going to need to install it as well. So I'll skip forward a little bit so that the download will complete faster. Now the download's done, I just simply need to go ahead and launch it, copy it over the applications, and then once it's copied, start it up. Sure, go ahead and open. Now it comes with the free trial. I'm going to start the free trial now. And again, all I really want to do is just to make sure that I can connect. Now keep in mind, right now I'm connected to the AALVO, or the company's Wi-Fi. So I need to add the printer. And so I know it's this one, and I'm going to use the Ethernet option because we're going over Wi-Fi, and this is where I give the printer's Wi-Fi. And again, it's 192.168.1.2. Oh, sorry, I set it to 10. No, I did set it to 2. That's right. Sorry, it's been a long day. Okay, give this thing a name. Now the dimensions, I don't remember off the top of my head what the dimensions are, so I'm just gonna put some random numbers in here. Be sure to check your product, enter the right stuff. I'm just using it to determine if I can connect. And so once I've got it connected, I'm gonna click OK here and see if the Lightburn is able to connect to it. Right now it says disconnected, and dummy me, I forgot that I did change something. So let me go back. Oh, you know what? I think it's because I forgot to turn it on. Alright, so like I said earlier, I didn't have the machine on. I went and turned it on. So everything's powered up. It should be connected to the Wi-Fi now. And so let me just go ahead and click OK, and let's see if it connects. And look at that, it says ready. And so that's pretty much it. I hope this was helpful. Again, your router is going to be a little bit different from mine, so take that into consideration. But hopefully I gave you everything you need to get your LaserEX connected to your office Wi-Fi. Thanks for your time, and I hope this helps you out.